The way you invest is contingent on this one thing and one thing only. Are you in accumulation phase or are you in decumulation phase? All right, so let's talk about me. I'm in accumulation phase. I'm 50 years old. I have an income, my job, and as such, I am not needing my assets to provide me an income. All right, so my job is my income. So every 2 weeks, whatever, I get an income coming in from labor. That means my investments over here, I don't need to touch. My investments are something specific geared towards, which is to provide me an income stream once I no longer have a job, which provides me an income, if that makes sense. So I need this pile of money over here to grow, so I can tap into it, when I'm 65, 15 years from now, to provide me a replacement of my income I get while I'm working, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. It's a big deal, big deal. Because remember, at the end of the day, you only live on income. Your income can come from labor or your income can come from investments, pensions, annuities, Social Security. But you need income in which to pay the bills. And I think we overlooked that. The whole point of investing isn't to save principal, live off dividends, or it could be, but the whole point of investing is to provide you an income stream for when you no longer have a labor to provide you an income stream. That's what investing is for. Now, investing could also be that you want to buy a second house, all that. I get that. But the vast majority of us, that's not what we're trying to accomplish. What we're trying to accomplish is to pile up enough money on the side account in which to replace this income I have while I'm working. And as such, I got to accumulate. So I'm sending money every 2 weeks. I'm sending money to this big thing, this little nut. Hopefully it's just growing. Hopefully it's growing. Sometimes it's going to shrink. Sometimes it's going to grow. Sometimes it's going to shrink. Sometimes it's going to grow. But hopefully it's a forever expanding pie. So as the pie shrinks a little bit, it shrinks, and it's still a bigger pie to shrink. So it starts here, it grows, it shrinks a little bit, it starts, see what I'm saying? And even when it shrinks, it's bigger than what it was before because it continues to grow. I'm still throwing money into it. Now, if you have a sketchy job, let's say you work for a coal plant that provides coal for electricity in Los Angeles County, and LA County just passes a law that says we're not going to allow you to use dirty fuel anymore to provide us electricity. So essentially, your contract is now on the null and void. You're like, man, I don't have a job anymore, and I live in West Virginia. There's not much jobs around here, so what am I going to do? Well, in that case, you can't have everything in just accumulation mode because you're going to need some time if the inevitable comes where you get laid off. A, you're going to need some time to figure out what you're going to do. B, you got to put food on the table still. You still got bills to pay and all that. So what are you going to do? You're going to need some time to find a new job. It might even entail moving from West Virginia to Washington, D.C. I'm just using that for example. Or you could be in Silicon Valley. And all of a sudden, the Silicon Valley says, we're moving to Texas. You're like, I can't move to Texas. Whatever. You see what I'm saying? But you need time to transition. So if your job isn't very stable, you need a little bit more cash, more than just 6 months as an emergency fund in which to get you back on your feet, because you're going to have to pull income from your portfolio. And we do not want you to pull income from a portfolio that's dropping in value, and like in 2007 to 2009. That's doomsday scenario. We can't have that. So if you're in accumulation mode, then you got to figure out, is my job pretty stable or not? Now, for me, I'm self-employed. My job is never stable. It's just not. Anyone who's self-employed, who's an entrepreneur, doesn't have a stable income, just telling you. However, I feel comfortable enough in my prospects, and maybe it's delusional, I don't know. I feel comfortable enough in my accounts that even if I were to lose my job, you might say, this guy Josh is a con, I hate that guy, I'm never going to hire him and all that I could go find work either as a laborer digging ditches or some kind of skill set, because I have skill set in my brain, that I could replace my income to some degree, that even if I were to lose my job as a self-employed entrepreneur, I could find something else to replace that income to some degree. And as such, I don't need to take as much from my portfolio to provide that income stream. I mean, I've been working since I've held freaking 12 years old in some capacity. I'm not afraid of work, not afraid of labor. I don't like being idle, so I will find something. Now, again, that might be delusional, but that's a risk I'm willing to take. You might not be willing to take that risk. That's fine. If you're a coal miner in West Virginia, you might not have the same opportunities as a guy here in North Atlanta. Just you might. So you might not. So as such, you got to take your circumstance into consideration. And you also might say, look, I'm not as aggressive as Josh. That's fine. At the end of the day, though, I just plug and I'm plugging everything into my VTI. Just every 2 weeks, I put something in VTI, something in VTI, something in VTI. I don't want you to live off your equity line of credit either as a cash income replacement if you lose your job, because that's not an income replacement. It's literally living off debt. And debt's got to be paid back by somebody, by hook or by crook. You're going to have to pay off debt. And what we're trying to do, we're trying to get you away from the debt mentality and into the equity mentality. So a lot of people use their equity, their 401k, not 401k, their home equity as a source of income if they did get an emergency layoff or something like that. I don't have any problem with doing that temporarily, but I don't like the idea that I always have my 401k, my equity line of credit I can tap into if I got laid off. That still doesn't make me all that comfortable, but it's certainly better than selling stocks that are down 40%. So I have a home equity line of credit, absolutely. I got no balance on it. I also have money in my VTI, absolutely, and I plug into it. So I do have some source of income. If you guys say, Josh, you stink, I'm going to go watch Beat the Bush or something like that, or Jazz Wealth. My man Dustin Tibbetts over at Jazz Wealth. I'm never going to watch it again. So I have a couple things. So if the market is way down, well, I'm not going to tap into VTI. Instead, I'll tap into my equity line. But I'd have no cash. Again, your situation might be different. You want cash to the extent that if you think you're on shaky ground, well, you need cash because you're going to need some income. Now, the other side of this is people who are retiring and going to need an income right out of the gate to replace what they're losing as labor. And especially if you're in your 60s, it's going to be tough for you to go back and find a new job replacing the same kind of salary you're accustomed to. So you need to be a lot more conservative, in my opinion, especially for the first couple of years of retirement, because you don't know what retirement's like. You have an idea, you've talked to people, you've read, but you don't know for you specifically. And I don't care what everybody else says. Well, the average, I don't care about that. What does it cost for you to retire? You don't know. And as such, it's better for you to have more conservative portfolio on the side, just in case things go south. You want to be able to tap into money to live on without breaking the bank and drawing portfolio that's down 37 to 54%, like what happened in 2008. You can't do that. You'll never recoup. And as such, that person who's needing income, because he needs the income to replace what he lost because he's no longer working, he is pulling from his portfolio right now, not in the future, but today. And as such, he needs that portfolio to be stable, especially in the front end of retirement, to make sure that he doesn't get crunched with the sequence of return risk, which I absolutely think is a valid concern. So that guy wants to be a lot more conservative than me, because there's two different types of income. That's all that matters. Are you pulling money out? If you are, you got to be conservative. Are you putting money in? If that's you, you can be more aggressive. It's literally that simple. And that person should have 3 to 4 years of cash on the side. So that way, if he's pulling money out and the market goes whoops, like we had in 2007 and 8, he doesn't need to pull from the portfolio. He can pull from cash. And hopefully by the time 2011 and 12 rolls around, the market, and he's exhausted all his cash, the market's come back nicely so he can replenish that to some degree. Again, that's if you retire into a 2008. Not likely, but it did happen. People retired in 2001 and 2. So later on today, I'm going to do another video comparing Wellesley to Wellington, because I am starting to have thoughts on incorporating the Wellesley a little bit more than the Wellington for soon-to-be retirees. This is part of my concern about the nature of the economy as we sit here right now today. And this isn't market timing. It's just safety in retirement is better than sorry, even at the expense of increasing net worth, in my opinion. So safety is the better form of valor. Is that what they say? I don't know what the term is, but safety takes precedence, over growth, especially in the first couple of years of retirement, especially given the economic uncertainty we have with literally, we've never been through this kind of lockdown. It's insane. I sit there and I chuckle as people think we're going to go build back better like tomorrow. It's nuts. Now, love to hear your thoughts. All right, we'll see you.